Welcome back to Tokyo Ghoul Anime Review Special number 11. This one I'm reviewing something that I haven't reviewed since special number, I think it was special number 3, and that's one of the Tokyo Ghoul light novels. This one I'm reviewing the second light novel ever released, Void. Done with the same people. Sean Toddy basically is the writer. Shin Toddy, I think his name is, yes. There are 5 stories in here like the first one. There is Hitei's embroidery, photography, The Ties That Wound, and Masito. The first story is by far the longest story of the entire book. This story is 72 pages. I'm not kidding about that. It is. It is roughly 72 pages. Mostly focus on the character of Armand, where he's investigating stuff in the 8th Ward. He's investigating like a missing teenage girl, and there's this one girl he's encountered before in a previous case, which later turns out to be a ghoul. He didn't suspect her to be a ghoul, but she was a ghoul, and he ended up sort of killing her. It's a very good investigative story, and I do recommend it. It's a great story. The second story is called, second story, Embroidery, is about, if I can find him here. It's about the mask maker Yaltu and his assistant. Well, he's in the story, but he's not the main character. The main character is Aza, and the main focus character aside from those two is this old woman on the cover. Yep. Yeah, she's an old friend of his. Also, I got to point out that mask maker Uda did pop up in a recent episode of Tokyo Ghoul Re. Yeah, he did. Yeah, if you don't know who he is, he's the guy with the tattoos on his neck and the weird-looking eyes. Yep, that's him. The same guy who made Kaneki's mask from when he first showed up. Yeah. It turns out this old woman is a seamstress, and they are there to talk to her about somebody who was a particular ghoul, who was how should I put this? See, he makes masks for ghouls, and if the CGT found out that he basically made masks for ghouls, he would be arrested, and they talk about that here heavily. But Asia and this old lady are pretty much the focus character story, and Uda is just the supporting character of it. And he basically visits her because she's an old friend of his, and he wants to show her a mask that he didn't make, but she confirmed she made this particular mask and look for information. Luckily enough that also they actually found out like there was an old man who actually adopted 2 ghouls, who was also a cannibal, by the way, and they would basically, one was a kidnapper, the other one was the butcherer, and he was a cannibal. So basically, if he ever get caught, he would blame on the 2 ghouls. And the CGC people, they did kill one of one of his adopted ghoul kids, and it was the kidnapper they killed, not the butcher. Interesting little story, but it's a great side story. Now, they mentioned this thing takes place about 6 months after the events of the occupation of the 11th Ward, which is basically around 70 chapters I think it was like 73 chapters into the manga. Yeah, most of the stories take place 6 months after that. The third story is a follow-up to not only the story from the previous book, but to that as well, and that's the photography story, which features Chihidori. That's her right there. Yeah, she's popped up in roughly about 3 episodes of the current series, and she's also popped up in, well, the actual OVA that basically adapted the photo story in here. Yeah, and she and Shu, that's the guy with the purple hair, yeah, they become good friends over the years, and it's great the fact, and also this is actually one of 2 stories that Kaneki shows up in. Yeah, his appearance in the third story was very surprised because in the previous book he only appeared for 1 story, and that was a Toku story. This one appeared for 2 stories. He appeared in this one and the following story, and it turns out he actually hired Chidori to take pictures of him killing people, and just in case found out he wanted him released. Yeah, and came to do her a favor, which I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And if you're wondering what does Kaneki look like in the story, well, looking at the illustration pretty much gives it away. If I can find him here. Yeah, Okay, here's what she. There she is, right there. That's Chihadora. That's what she looks like in here. That's how the artist from the series draws her in here. But yeah, it's not a big spoiler, but it was a big surprise to see him in here because if you read this, you're like, okay, you're just making Chi and Shu, okay, but not Kaneki. Yeah, I'm thinking, okay, hey, isn't that the outfit he wore in Route A? Yeah, he also wore this in the manga as well, but he was part of a different group and not a Jerry Tree. But yeah, anybody reads is like saying, yep, they agree. This is a surprise to see him in here, and it's an overall like the last book. My favorite story. My second favorite story is the Hidori story, which focuses on her. Toka is referenced a few times in there, but she's not the focus character. It's just basically Hidori trying to find out how Kaneki is doing, and she just runs him in the end, and she calls him Big Brother, and she loves him a lot like an actual brother, which is nice. And she calls Toka Big Sister, which hey, let's got appreciate for that. It's an overall really good story. Now, overall, the other stories in here, like what their page length are, is interesting. The embroidery story is roughly 44 pages long. Excuse me. Photography is almost 50 pages. It's like 46 pages long. Ties That Wound is roughly 30 pages. And the last story is like 16 pages. Yeah, it's a 16-page story. It's a really quick one. Yeah, and that last one's about donuts. Yeah. Yeah, and of course people getting virus like that. It's a quick little story. I'm like, wow. You have the shortest story of the book be the weakest story out of all four stories. I would definitely say the strongest story is the photography story. That's the best story in here because I love this character Chidori. I would say number two is probably a tie between the first. Basically, it's a three-way tie between the first, the second, and the third story because they're all really good stories. But I would definitely say the weakest story is the last one. Unlike the last book, which had which had a different order. Yeah, it's like basically for me personally, this time with this particular book, all the stories in here except for the last one are really good stories. And the last one is by far the weakest one. Kind of like the last book where the last story is the weakest story. Here, definitely it's the same thing last time. Though in the case of what the strongest story is, it's the second one. Well, actually, it's a tie between the third story and the first one. Yeah, it's a tie between those two, and the second strongest is the second and fourth stories. Yeah, really good book. Highly recommend people fans of Tokyo Ghoul. And I know my friend Jeremy basically he loves Tokyo Ghoul. I don't know if he's read this or not, but if Jeremy, if you haven't read this, check it out. It's really good. Yeah, and it's only $12.99, so it'd be a good purchase for you to read this book. I got through this in just a few days. It took me a few days to get through this book, but I got through it. It's really good. Oh, by the way, Hidori is right there. That's her. But here's what the full cover looks like. And like with last book, there's a pull-out illustration. First one is Kaneki and Toka. And the one on the inside is basically the cover connected. Yep. It's just really good. The artist, I'm glad the fact that he got a chance to do this. Now, I know for a fact that for the Naruto light novels, Kishimoto did do the illustrations for that one, just like this one. So it's kind of not unexpected the fact that the regular creator of the series does illustrations for the light novel. It's not a bad idea to do. Now, unlike let's say Naruto and of course One Piece, this series has only had 3 light novels. Like a lot of the other spin-off series. A lot of the other mangas I've read, it's only about 3 or 4 light novels. I would say Naruto One Piece has got the most. This one's only got 3. I think Attack on Titan's got about 6. I think it's about 7 or 8, but this is only the second one. There's like one more left to go. I think it's called Past. Yeah, I'm hoping to get my hands on the book really soon because that is actually the last and most recent book that's come out for Tokyo Ghoul. I give the book a 9.5 out of 10. It's just really damn good. All right, so that's it for this. That's it for this review. Next video I'm hoping to doing today is I have 5 comic corners coming out. I'm hoping to do about maybe maybe at least 3 or 4 of them today. I highly doubt I can get all 5 done today. Probably do some of them tomorrow, but 3 or 4 reviews I'm hoping out today for that particular series. Okay, but until I see you next video, bye.